Okay, good afternoon. We would like to start. Since we are already a bit late, our time schedule is quite concise and condensed. Actually, I will start with a very, very brief introduction of what we intend to do here, and then I'm going to open the floor for a question and comment. Actually, the main idea of this meeting is to offer in a somewhat more intimate context the possibility for you to present questions to all those important people who came from Germany, and especially actually in this occasion to discuss it with you. And we have obviously the President of the Bundestag and all his Vice Presidents and all other officials. I won't start with the whole speech, which I intended to do because we don't have enough time. So I'll just present the two main topics with which I thought we would open, and then I'll give the time for you to discuss. I would also ask two things. First of all, if by any chance one of you has forgotten to turn off the cell phone, do it now, okay? And this is the last time I'm going to say it nicely. Next time it's going to be not nicely. And, okay, I'll talk to the microphone. Did you hear what I said, or should I okay, I see by your faces that you've heard. And the other thing that I ask each one who asks a question to present himself, where does it come from each department, and then to present a question. So actually we were thinking about two main topics, and this is only just for opening the discussion, regarding two main events. First of all, the end of the Second World War, and the other one is the official relationship between Israel and Germany. We are celebrating this year 50 years of the actually formal relationship between Israel and Germany, and 70 years after the end of the Second World War. And actually there are two topics that I thought are interrelated, and I wanted to ask you what you have to ask regarding them. The first one is obviously the question of memory. What do you think, or what do you have to ask regarding the memory of both these events, regarding both the past and the future after this span of time? And the other one is regarding the relationship between the two countries, which is again a question interrelated to the former one. What do you have to ask, or what do you think about these two topics? So this is for my part, and now I'm going to open the floor for questions or comments or whatever you have. So please feel free to ask. Yeah. So just.
How do you see, sorry, should I repeat or should I just keep going?
It's quite okay.
And how you see the memory in light of this normal relationship folding, or how it would form? Would it be a different memory? Would it be the same?
Well, we have, of course, not only touched, but to some extent debated this issue this morning on the occasion of our meeting with the members of the bureau of the Knesset, with the president and his vice presidents. And my impression was that there is not only on the German side, where it is obviously the case, a common understanding that we neither have normal relations, nor never should have just normal relations, but under any circumstances, particular relations. But at least this was my impression. This was more or less the identical expectation of our Israeli colleagues. I don't know whether all agree, but their expectation is not, come on, after 50 years, now we are in a process of normalizing what we have as bilateral relations with what other countries. And I think this is not only due, in terms of being aware of the particular history. This is also a particular chance for having, I'm hesitating to say, prominent relationships, particular, relationships. Given our common, complicated experience, which of course does not mean that we have identical memories, necessarily not. But we share the perception of having made experiences which, fortunately, nearly all the other countries of the world never have made and hopefully will never make. My proposal for further questions is, as we have here all the members of our presidium, I just tell you who represents which party, and if you have a particular question which you assume could be much better being answered by the opposition, but by a representative of the government, you could directly address them. Ulla Schmidt is member of the Social Democratic Party, belonging to the coalition which represents the majority at the moment. Petra Paul does not belong to the government, is a member of the left party, and we have just joked this morning whether that is a kind of opposition which is interested to change its position to become a government, or whether it has a fundamentalistic interest in ever being opposition. Well, anyway, Claudia Roth is member of the Green Party, and Johannes Singhammer, as myself, belongs to the Christian Democratic Union. That's it.
Okay. So thank you very much for sparing me this presentation, which would have been much more difficult for me than for you. So thank you very much. So any other questions or yes, please.
Hi, thank you very much for coming. And my name is Daniel. I'm in the European Forum Master's Program. And I would like to ask as a question, whoever thinks he can answer better. From a lot of trips and living for a month here, a month there in Germany, I'm feeling that in the last few years, something has changed in the German youth. And in the beginning, a few years ago, it seemed like really the special relations, it's still more into them. And in the last few years, I don't know, it could be because of Israeli tendencies, what's happening here, Israel becoming, according to them, a less liberal country. And people are starting to feel that enough, genug. We got enough of this Holocaust in our head. It's time to have a normal relationship. Maybe the politician in your levels think about it differently. In my perspective, the youth is not seeing it as you defined it now. So I would like to ask, how do we maintain a special relationship with becoming a normal relationship, but still keeping it special and unique, built on the same interests or goals, or how can we make it to the future?
Yes, it's a very difficult question. You know, nobody of us must think that the friendship and also the partnership between Germany and Israel is given by granted. You have to work every day to find people and to win the people and to look for the youth and the youth exchange and something else, to remember the history, to remember what the generation has been when we grow up. Never Holocaust, never Shoah, never Nazi terror, never wars. We grow up in this mind. You know, I'm as old as the Bundesrepublik Deutschland. And so young people have another experience. Maybe they don't know what happened. And it is one of the tasks of our schools, of education, of the policy debate, of our memory days, of exchange as we make with youth exchange programs and internships and something else, to learn from each other and to remember the history and what happened. And so a lot of now old Jewish people from 90 years, they come to Germany and they go to the school to explain the young people about her experience, about what happened with the family, about how they find a new relationship to Germany and to the Germans. And so this is the work we have to do. It's, I think it's something that always also the older people don't want to talk about what happened. It's a special experience, not only the youth, but we know that we have, it's really, we were thankful this morning what happened here, and it was very emotional, and I think I will tell about it. Can tell about it in internet, we can tell about it in television, we can tell about it in the discussion. We can take care that in our schools they will talk about it. When I was young, we didn't talk about it. It was so near at the end of the Second World War that it was not in our everyday experience to hear from it, but we had to learn it. And so I think it's democracy. You have to fight every day for democracy. If you don't, then maybe you lose it.
I think what is very, very important for us as Germans, for example, when I was 14 years old, I was born in 55. So in the end of the 69, 70, I think in many, many, many households, there was a question to the parents, why was Auschwitz possible? Why? This one word, why? So there were debates in the families going on, why? And I think this why should never be forgotten. And fortunately, my father said to me, you were born 55, but what happened in the Nazi time, the Shoah, the Holocaust, is also part of your life, of your history, of your personality. So you cannot escape because you can say, okay, I was born 10 years later, everything was over, I have nothing to do with it. And I think this is important, that we recognize our history as part of our life, of our personalities, and that we take out from this memory the responsibility for the future. I always hear in my environment that Tel Aviv is the most attractive city in the world from many, many youngsters. And I see many, many young people from Israel in Berlin, many, many, many. More in Berlin than in Munich. I don't know why. Sure. We have to do something, because but we do now. Munich perhaps is too expensive, but
we do well.
So I think that is so important, that we don't, that we do not allow anybody to say, okay, now the book is closed. It's part of my life. Was? Ja, ich sage ja, was die Responsibility ist.
One sentence from me. I think it's a part of the political culture in Germany that we remember and we are feeling responsible. But we have two changes in the last years. So we have a new generation of people. Some of them are immigrants. And so I think we had to teach the young generation. We had to teach. They must learn the history and the responsibility. So we just talk about it. We have in our constitution the responsibility for school system is by the Bundesländer. It's not the Bundestag, but we had all to do. It's necessary that they will take their responsibility and to teach the people and the young people, and I think that's our challenge.
Hi, I'm a student in the German Studies program from the MA student. My name is Itamar Gelfish, and if it's okay by you, I would like to get a little bit more political, since you're all politicians. And talking about normalization, I think one of the main questions relating Israel and Germany isn't it about time that Germany would take a more leading role considering the Palestinian-Israeli conflict? Is it in time that Germany will put some pressure on Israel, considering that Germany also gives assistance to Israel, military assistance, and all kinds of sorts? So, and I guess can gather different answers from difficult political spectrum. So I would be happy if I will have answers from all kinds of political parties here. Thank you.
Da bin ich ja mal gespannt, ob das gelingt. I'm fully aware that you are not the only one which expresses this expectation. And I'm probably not the only one refusing this expectation. Because although I understand why you expect partners, friends, to influence what takes place in Israeli politics, you shouldn't overestimate the impact of a German intervention, particularly if you want not any kind of impact, but a particular impact by this intervention. I have no illusion, as far as I understand the political spectrum in Israel and the majorities and the obvious and silent groups surrounding these different positions, I have no illusion at all what the probable result in the Israeli public would be if an acting Israeli government would refuse a German intervention in their responsibility. This is the simplest, the most simple approach of getting majorities behind positions which not necessarily must have a natural majority. And insofar, yes, we should of course debate this issue. We should use all the channels we have, as we do. We shouldn't stay apart if Europe is being asked to play a role, which we do. But I personally cannot see any reasonable way of making Germany playing an obvious, prominent role with the idea of changing the orientation of the Israeli policy. This might be expected, but in my understanding, couldn't work.
What we can do is only to strengthen the dialogue and to speak openly about the problems. And you know that we can find talks also between the governments, but it is a diplomatic area, and you must find solutions together in the discussion process with also the politician here in Israel. And I think it's not easy, but especially under friends, you must speak open about the problems, but on an equal basis. And I thought that one say what the other had to do.
You may be astonished because you said you were more political. The other questions were also political, but there are not very often consensus in our parliament or in the political arena.
Sometimes.
Families, sometimes, but not always. But in this question we are quite we have really a consensus, and our president this morning or this noon, he pronounced it, that he said that we are really supporting a democratic Palestinian state. So we are, and he spoke it out in the Knesset, we're doing it. We did it in many debates in the German parliament. But I think it's very important what Ulla Schmidt said, that we are doing it as friends. So coming to Israel as a friend, I am preoccupied what will happen if there would be an NGO law for your democracy, because I'm a friend of you. I'm preoccupied what would happen in your country. What would happen with this, with the new policy on culture? When I met artists in Germany only 1 week ago of a very, very famous Al-Maidan theater from Haifa, and I met the director, and he said, no more money, but we are not anymore allowed to go to school. So coming as a friend, we can speak out, not blah, 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 and thinking something else, but be open, be frank. And I think in the past, Germany had quite an important role of a kind of a credibility on the Israeli side, but also on the Palestinian side. And this is important. If you make diplomacy, you should be open and have credibility on both sides. I remember Fischer, for example, he's from my party. He was such a person, but also Herr Steinmeier. They are persons who have this credibility to be open to both sides, and this is important. When our minister Steinmeier, I would also say, it's also my minister, even if he's a social democrat, which are not the worst.
Interesting point.
When he went to Gaza only a short time ago, this was very important, and he had the whole support of the whole parliament. I think this is important. Credibility, really open, no, ehrlich, yeah, credible, and the kind of mediation that and Palestinians, when you are negotiating or speaking with them, they really know our history, so they know that there is this very, very special relationship and responsibility in the relationship of Germany to Israel, and on the other side too. So I think this is important. Sorry, now you are annoyed, but
I'm studying at Prof National School. I'm in the end of my first year in the Jewish Studies program, and two things. One comment is to say thank you very much for coming, because it's a good sign of German-Israeli relationships that President, Parliament, and also all of you are coming here. It's a good sign. My question is, how can the government help, or the government, the political parties in Germany, institutions of the government help to show a little bit more of a two-sided way of looking at Israel? I have found myself with very strong opinions coming here, which have been challenged by the reality either way. And friends and family that have been coming here were afraid of being blown up on a bus, quite literally, and have found that Israel is actually not quite like that. So my question is, how can the German institutions help through the media maybe, but in other ways, to show a more realistic picture of life in Israel?
Wollen Sie was mal sagen?
Versuchen es mal.
Ja, macht's mal. Joint venture.
Okay, we'll try to do it that way. Okay. Ich sehe auch unseren
I
Besuch
see
und,
our visit
auch das Ereignis
and
der Rede
also
unseres Präsidenten
the
heute in der
speech of our
Knesset als einen
president in the
Beitrag dazu,
Knesset as a
auch
contribution
wenn wir heute einer
of
starken
us. Is it okay? That
Nee, wenn man was doch-
okay.
Auch wenn wir heute in der öffentlichen Berichterstattung in Deutschland einer sehr starken Konkurrenz ausgesetzt sind, weil parallel zum Beginn der Rede von Professor Lammert in der Knesset just die Queen durch Berlin spazierte.
Das ist natürlich schwer.
Even more political, yeah.
We had a very, very tough competition today in terms of media because when Professor Lammert was delivering his speech in the Knesset, the Queen was walking through Berlin.
Aber ich gehe fest davon aus, dass unser Besuch hier und insbesondere die wichtige Rede von Professor Lammert heute auch in der Öffentlichkeit und in der öffentlichen Berichterstattung in der Bundesrepublik einen großen Platz einnehmen wird. Und ich nehme auch wahr, dass aus Anlass des 50-jährigen Jubiläums, das wir das ganze Jahr über begehen, es auch eine andere Berichterstattung gibt, sehr viel mehr Dokumentationen, sehr viel mehr Hintergrundartikel. Gleichzeitig sehe ich aber auch unsere Verantwortung dafür zu sorgen, das auch einzufordern und nicht nur immer dann, wenn etwas passiert ist, etwas Herausgehobenes oder gar Schlimmes, dann die Berichterstattung zu haben, die dieses einseitige Bild prägt, sondern dass wir wirklich einfordern, viel mehr über den Alltag auch zu erfahren oder gegebenenfalls auch intervenieren, nicht im Sinne von Zensur, Sie verstehen mich schon richtig, sondern indem wir auch unsere Erfahrungen und Erlebnisse in die öffentliche Debatte
But I'm certain, even though the Queen is visiting Berlin right now, that our visit will be present, and also the very important speech of Professor Lammert in the Parliament will be present in the Israeli media. And I think, especially also because we are celebrating 50 years of diplomatic relations between Israel and Germany, so there is more time and more space in the media for documentaries on Israel, and we should also demand to get more background information and sound research about Israel. We should demand it, and I hope you understand me correctly, because I'm not talking about intervening or censorship, but we should a more even not only this one-sided picture, so that we get also Israel presented on aspects of everyday life here. I'm addressing, and I'd like to correct it, I'm addressing German media, of course.
Aber etwas Zweites, und darüber haben wir heute auch gesprochen mit den Kolleginnen und Kollegen in der Knesset, ist mindestens genauso wichtig, dass sich jeder selbst ein Bild macht von der Realität, dass wir viel mehr Begegnungen von Menschen wirklich aller Altersgruppen organisieren, sei es über die Städtepartnerschaften, den Jugendaustausch oder natürlich auch die wunderbare Möglichkeit, um die ich Sie alle beneide, aber auch die junge Generation in der Bundesrepublik, eben einen Teil seiner Ausbildung eben auch nicht zu Hause zu absolvieren, sondern beispielsweise hier gemeinsam zu studieren. Das gehört für mich mindestens genauso dazu.
But on the other hand, and I think we all, also me and my colleagues, we will take it seriously, that we should foster the opportunity or enforce the opportunity, give more and more people the opportunity to get their own, make their own impression, to visit the country, and we can do so by enabling encounters, direct encounters. We do that via Twin Cities, or also the youth exchange, which has been mentioned several times during our visit here. And another thing which makes me envious of the opportunity you have, that is having part of your education abroad.
Ein letzter und dritter Punkt. Ich glaube, es hilft auch, wenn wir uns gegenseitig oder wenn wir gegenseitig die Perspektive wechseln. Ich persönlich habe erst etwas begriffen, als ich das erste Mal in Sderot auf einem Kinderspielplatz war und die Betonraupe, die gleichzeitig der Bunker für die Kinder ist, dort gesehen habe. Da habe ich begriffen, warum mich manche Gesprächspartner, jüngere wie ältere in Israel, immer merkwürdig ansahen, wenn ich vom Frieden sprach. Ich habe begriffen, was das Wort Sicherheit bedeutet. Und mit diesem Begreifen, ohne dass ich jede Antwort akzeptiere als die richtige, mit diesem Begreifen war ich dann aber bei meinen nächsten Begegnungen mit Israelis wie auch mit Palästinensern viel besser in der Lage, auch meine kritischen Fragen zu stellen, beziehungsweise auch bestimmte Antworten, von denen ich dachte, das sind sie, ganz absolut vielleicht auch zu korrigieren.
And another point, a third point, is changing your perspective, the way you look at one another. And I had this experience when I visited Sderot for the first time. I was standing on a playground and I saw the concrete shelter on this playground, and I understood what the word security means. People also from the Palestinian side were asking me about peace, and now I saw a different approach. I had a different perspective in terms of peace and security, and I had also different answers by changing my perspective to Palestinian questions when before I thought I'd had the absolute correct answers, and now I had also to correct myself at times.
I'm afraid we have to finish. I mean, we started late, and I gave 10 minutes more, but obviously this is a very short visit and full of other events. So I would like to thank you all, both for coming in and for presenting those very interesting questions. And although we have usually more questions after the answer than we had before, I think it's a good way, especially in the academy, that we leave some things open and won't finish in a kind of a falsified enclosure. So thank you very much to you all, and see you soon in other events. Thank you very much.